Welcome back to the realm of Final Fantasy XIV. We've just beat Cruise Chaser Blasty in Alexander the Creator 3, so we're moving on to the Creator 4. This is the grand finale of not just the Creator, but of all of Alexander. This time around, we're going to be fighting and stopping Alexander itself. Now, this is probably the only time I'm ever going to do this, because I like to focus on the mechanics and the fights. But I'm going to show you a cutscene, or at least pieces of a cutscene, that happened just before you got into this fight. You see, by this point, the chief goblin, Allthought, had decided to take control of Alexander and create Alexander Prime, specifically to defeat you. As we've seen in the story up until this point, Alexander has the ability to stop time. And shortly after that, Alexander Prime, along with Allthought's, retreats away into some pocket dimension of time, where we go after and follow him. And that is where the fight begins, so let us queue up for the soul of the Creator. As with every other time, the drops work the same as before. You're given a number of items at the end. You can lot and attain one of those 4 per week. You're also given an Alexandrian gear. You get one of these per week simply for beating the Creator 4. 7 of those together will get you a fancy new weapon, along with some tomes along the way. So I didn't need to lot anything from 3, and I don't need to lot anything from 4. However, I still need my gear for the week. That last attempt was a train wreck. Let's try this again. I would like to point out at the very start that I love this whole, what this whole, pocket time dimension thing lets them do with the arena. Because otherwise, you'd have to find some place in Eorzea that you could get to run an arena like this, and a fight like this. But so our showdown with Alexander Prime begins. Allthoughts is notoriously absent, so we're fighting only Alexander. Alright, good job. Not having a good day today, are we? So the boss has a Tank Buster, which you saw was the many lines shooting out of him, and then he has Mega Holy, which does some raid damage. Assuming we don't wipe to this, Punishing Heat, I'm not entirely sure what is. I think it's a Tank Buster. It may do something else to the tank, but to be honest, I'm not sure. And then Sacrament is a 4-dimensional cross-shaped AoE around Alexander. You are not safe in his hitbox, so you just have to run out so the markers are not right in front of you. Mega Holy for another raid-wide AoE. Blazing Scourge, do not stand near these people. Puts a marker over probably 3 people's heads. And just does a little AoE around each of them. Moving into Phase 2, a DPS check, so to say. There are many tiny little duders that show up. They need to be killed. And we are, as usual, under a time limit in doing so. What are you doing? Bring him over here. Now, these guys don't do a lot. The tank holding on to them should be able to hold them easily enough. And once they're done, the General's Mites show up. Now, the Mites hit much harder and have a lot more HP. So it's going to take a fair amount of time to whittle these guys down. In fact, the next set of ads are going to spawn before you're done with these guys. And when they do, abandon the General Mites to kill the General's Wings. Because the General Wings don't do anything, but they occasionally cast, or they frequently cast, Almost Holy. Which, when all 4 of them are casting, does a crazy amount of damage. So they need to be killed just so you're not... Oh, that's the Mite. Okay, never mind. I'll go back to the Mite. So they need to be killed just so you're not taking this crazy damage the whole time. And we're taking our sweet time killing this General's Mite, so Alexander himself is showing up. Now, the cool thing about this is no matter how good you do on that DPS check, this attack will kill you. It just will. Which is why you are forced to use the tank limit break. And then the fight is truly underway. First thing he casts is Chronofall, which does little more than have him spread some wings and changes the arena around you. But it lets you know some time-based crap is going to be going down. Specifically, Temporal Stasis, which is a really cool move. So time freezes. He moves around and hits people during the time. Run, quick, get out of the way of that. You'll be able to move before the attack goes off. Now, the cool thing about Temporal Stasis is time is frozen for you, completely and utterly. Even your recast timers stop going down. However, Alexander is not frozen in time, so any debuffs or anything that you've put on him do continue to tick away. Okay, Temporal Stasis on me. You're going to have one big AoE that everyone's going to want to gather into, and then a bunch of people with arrows over their heads. The people with the arrows need to spread out, because you see they're going to get hit like that. Whereas everybody, all of us, got hit by the one large AoE that we needed to spread out. Blazing Scourge again, so I'm just going to stand back a little. Followed by Mega Holy. At this point, other than Temporal Stasis, we haven't seen a lot new. But the fight is still just getting underway. Time Gate! So, Alexander is going to summon 4 of these little ads. You can't really target them, but they're going to run into these temporal things, which take you somewhere. Where? To the fight from before! Time is frozen over there, and Alexander is shooting a laser at all of you. You need to kill you along with the 3 other DPS that should all have taken one. Oh, this guy's not doing so hot. Need to kill all of them to stop the time stop so you can get out of the way of the laser. Stable time loops! In the middle of the fight, you had to go back in time and stop the attack from killing you that didn't kill you in the past. Ah! That's like the friggin' coolest part. Oh my goodness. I can't even express to you how cool that was. I couldn't even tell what was going on in there at first. I just saw it and went, there's something going on over there, I wonder what's up. And then you see it and you go, oh snap. Okay, so the red circles are going to attack before the circles over your head, so let them go, then move. I don't know where he's looking. And at this point, he starts doing a couple new things. For one, we saw the red circles from before. So we have to be careful not to step in those, and they're going to be showing up at awkward times. Oh, by the way, on that DPS check, if you fail... Oh, I got the green arrow. I gotta get away. If you fail that DPS check, you just see the laser fry everybody during stop time, and then you just die. Because yourself in the past died. So remember, the red things will always go off. Oh, incinerating heat. Stack AoE for everybody. Now remember, the red AoEs will always go off before you have to deal with whatever other thing is looming over your head at the moment. Oh, and then there's Summon Alexander, where, there he is. So, Alexander in the background there is going to be adding an interesting mechanic to everything. You see tethers there on the tanks and healers. They need to get away because they're going to get pummeled with about 3 or 4, I think 4 of these little AoEs. If you stand in those puddles, you get a really nasty dot put on you. And now it's the DPS's turn. So remember to watch where he is. You don't have to run full speed across the entire arena. You can just run out of the first little AoE and then stand in them for the next. And then stand there and wait for the second. You've got a couple seconds before it counts as you being in the AoE. But you do want to move as soon as possible. At this point, you've seen most of the mechanics of the fight. The additional mechanics of dealing with the little line pointing at you that from Big Alexander, and the red circles are the chief things it adds in this next phase. And at this point, you should be alright to simply finish the fight. Of note is, since these will specifically target the healers and the tanks early on, oh well, I'm dead. Farewell, cruel world. Oh no, they made it in, sort of. Ow. Since that will target the tanks and the healers the first run, all 4 of those in. If a tank or healer happens to be dead, it will target a DPS. Which means you could get hit with 2 of those tethers back to back, which has happened to me. Oh, at this point, the fight goes on long enough that even though we have the 3 charge limit break, I like not using it, just because you never know what's going to happen later on in the fight. And using the healer limit break to revive everybody has been pretty common, especially in the early stages of this fight's availability. when everybody was still a bit uncomfortable with it. Oh, but the ninja decided to do it, so that's cool too. I mean, whatever, as long as the weight's not on my shoulders. Of note, the tank, since the tank was targeted with that, he is going to be moving around some. So Alexander is going to turn while the tank is getting not hit by that laser. So don't get hit by that. Stand over here. 2, 3, 4. And Alexander should be almost down. I'm not gonna have... Man, it'd be so cool if I could get up. Ah, almost. But alas. So that's Alexander Prime, and that is the finale to the creator. So for winning, you actually get several prizes. You get 4 different items, one of which is newly added here. Lets you get the body, the Alexandrian body piece. Also, there's a chance that a toy Alexander will show up. I already have one, though. You also will gain, as I mentioned previously, an Alexandrian gear. On its own, it doesn't do much, but 7 of those you can change in for a fancy weapon. So that's it for the creator and all of Alexander. Until next time, everyone.